Okay, today we have a new soldering station. I was working on another project to repair a monitor and replace the caps, and the cheap $4 soldering iron that I have obviously didn't work to melt the old solder on the board for the monitor. So we went out and we purchased this. This is a Kotto. Hold on, let me get what it is exactly. I'll pull it up here. So this is the Kotto KT-68P 60-watt soldering station with an OLED display. So it's regularly $79. It was on sale for $59. The soldering helping hands that I have is a Kotto brand, and I was impressed with the quality of that. For the price I paid, I thought I was going to get, some thin metal and some weak magnets and arms that don't really hold position, but I was pretty impressed with the quality of that. So I figured let's go with a Kotto brand soldering station that I just happened to see on sale when I looked it up because I needed a new one, and it's here. So let's open it up and take a look at what we get inside. So it looks like it just comes packaged directly in the Amazon box that it was delivered in. So this is the box that it came into my door. Got some foam. Okay. Get the instruction manual. So we have a 60 watt, 120 volt, 60 hertz. Power consumption is going to be 50 watts. Ceramic heater, heating element. A tip-based thermocouple, so it does have a thermocouple in it, and you can adjust the temperature. The temperature range is 150 to 450 Celsius or 400 to 842 Fahrenheit. The temperature stability is plus or minus 1.5 degrees Celsius. That's pretty good. Okay, the instructions on how to use it. We might have to take a look at that. And it even gives you kind of a breakdown of the internal components. Very cool. It gives you even part numbers if you want to replace some parts. They're in there. That's actually quite nice. Appreciate that. Okay, so let's take a look. Here's our soldering iron handle. Let's unwind this. So it's not stiff like a really cheap cable. It is soft and it is very pliable. We can do the kind of a test here on whether or not the cable is stiff enough to push the iron or just bend. So the iron will stay in place. My other one, you can't push the cable. The cable will push the iron around. So for me, this is an upgrade on how soft the cable is. Like I said, it's not super soft like a premium rubber or anything like that, but it's soft enough and malleable enough that I'm not too worried about it. It's going to be plugged into this. It's going to be plugged into the station here. So, and then we also have the tip. So it comes pre-installed with a decently fine tip. Okay, so it's nothing sharp, but it is decent enough for some fine work. So let's open this up and see what we get. Okay, so you get your tip retainer. It's just a cone-shaped piece of metal. Got some vents, and then there's your core. I'm guessing the temperature probe and a tip. So I do think we get some tips in here. We do get some different set of tips. We'll take a look at these in a second. Okay, and there is some springiness to the internal tip here. So this does have some springiness to it. Okay, so it does maintain pressure on the tip when you put it on. Let's look at the, while they're out, we'll look at the tips that we get. So one of the first tips we get is a very fine tip. This will be good for fine work. And we get a medium fine tip. So both of these are smaller than the one that's on the actual iron. We get a angle flat cut tip I don't know what the technical names for these are, but looks like it's a flat tip cut at a 45. We get a blade tip. Cut at a 45. And the last one is a straight cut tip. And those are the 5 that come in the package, plus the one that's on the iron would be 6. Next is the power cable for the actual unit. Take that out. Okay. So again, I think it's about the same material as this. You can actually probably read. It has some writing on it, so we can probably make out what it is. So I don't know if I can really make out what the material is on this. It's a little bit difficult to read, but it says Chemacure plus S plus S plus S. I don't know what this says here. Then HOSVV minus F 3 by 0.75 millimeters squared HXZ. It is pretty soft cable. It's not like a computer power supply cable. It's a little bit softer than that and a little more malleable than that. So I would say that this is decent enough quality for the price I paid. Okay, then we get the soldering irons tray to hold it. Let's see about fit. Okay, so it does fit nicely in there. It doesn't pass through and it won't fall out. I've seen ones where they tip back and they come out. So this one does stay in there. It's not going to stay in any of these holes, but these are for your tips probably. And you can put a sponge or a pad in the bottom here. It's a decent size to wipe your soldering tip on. Okay, it's metal all around. It's pretty sturdy. It just looks like it's folded. There is some paint defects here on the back. Either rough paint job. So that's not a very nice finish. It's kind of ugly, you know. But it is the only part that does have that at the back. I don't know if it was rusty or something under there and they just sprayed over it. Doesn't look like it's flaking or anything like that off. And it feels like the bottom tray is just really tightly press fit into there. And then we get the unit itself that powers it. Oh, it's, wow, very heavy. Very, very heavy for such a small thing. So that's it for this box. So we'll move this out of the way. This thing's got to weigh a couple pounds. It's heavy. Like, okay, so the first thing I notice obviously is the weight, because it's way heavier than just a piece of plastic. It's heavier than it looks by far. Okay, the next thing is it's very sturdy. Like the plastic, if I press on it, doesn't deform anywhere. So the plastic is nice and thick and sturdy. The button here is got a very satisfying retention to it. And these buttons here, they're not touch sensitive buttons. They do have a detent or a click to them. And it's a pretty satisfying click. A good quality click at least. So we get a spot here. This is nice and solid on there. We have a fuse access panel here. So if you burn up the fuse, you can take this out. Let's take a look at what kind of fuse is in there. Okay, so the fuse comes seated inside of the cap for the fuse. So we have an 800 milliamp 250 volt fuse. Okay, and that just sits firmly inside of this, so you kind of gotta pull it out. It doesn't just freely sit in there. And then the other end will sit inside there. So we'll screw that back down. So if you need a replacement fuse, that's what you need. We got 5 little rubber feet. Doesn't seem like these are too grippy. but just something to, if it's on glass or something, they'll be fine. With the amount of weight this thing has, they will be perfectly fine. Then we have our plug to plug this in. It is a 5-prong plug. I don't know if that means anything. And the matching 5-prong plug for the iron itself, with a slot cut in it so that you can only put this in one way. So I'll show you the end here. Okay, so it has this, it has a key in it so that you can only fit it in one way. And then you have a screw-on retention ring that you can tighten down. This is definitely not going to move anywhere with the amount of weight it has. So let me plug this in. So the plug on one side is a 3-barrel. That's going to go into the back here, and then we'll plug the other side in. Okay, and let's power it on with the power switch at the back. Oh, and we get a nice display here that says off. So I can see on the camera it's a little bit flickery. It's not flickering at all for me from my eyes. It doesn't flicker whatsoever like it does in the camera. So let's push a button here. Okay, so the first button tells you where to set it, and it increases in temperature pretty quickly. But it looks like we're climbing up to 650 degrees Fahrenheit is where it started at. And it's there. Let's see. Yeah, it's hot. Let's see if we can melt some solder here. Yep. That's my old $5 iron would take 10 minutes to get to this temperature. That is impressive. Yeah. My old iron, I would be sitting here for 15 minutes before I could melt any solder. Okay, so let's take a look at the instructions here and see how we get through this. So, according to the instructions, main functionality is the menu button here. So a short press from this will turn it off. Cool. A short press will turn it back on. Long holding it will switch between Fahrenheit and Celsius. So let's check that. Perfect. I'm in Canada, so we'll keep it on Canadian temperature degrees of Celsius. Okay, and then these are your temperature controls for up and down. So the circle, it toggles between temperature settings. So it looks like there are 3 temperature settings we can directly toggle to, and that's noted by the little number here. So you can see here, we can go to 2, which is 343 degrees, or 398 degrees. And once you set it, it should move to that temperature. And then we can, if we want to change the temperature, so 450 will be the max, and it will go all the way there. And if we press and hold this, it will set. So now it's set to, so now we can scroll between 3 different temperature settings: 287, 343, and 450. So if we want to set number, so I'll go the lowest. The second one I'll set to 3, I'll set it right at 350, press and hold. That light goes out around the number, and now we have 3 different temperatures to scroll between: 287, 350, 450. Okay, and we'll see it cooling off. Temperature's going down. If we blow on it, the temperature goes down quicker. Cool. Okay, so set it to off. We'll see what other functionality is in here. Okay, so once we take it from the off state, the temperature that it's set to will display for 2 seconds, and then the temperature that the actual iron is at will display. And that's pretty much the controls. If the iron gets disconnected, this should display an NC. So let's test and see if that works. NC, so you'll want to check to make sure that the cable is fully connected. If it's not fully connected, it will give you a warning on there. Cool feature. Okay, so we're just going to do a quick test to see how quickly this will get up to temperature. So it's not hot anymore, so I can touch it to my skin. So we'll put it in here, we'll turn it on, and we'll see how long it takes to get to the maximum temperature. So it's set to 842, and let's see how long it takes. Okay, so I don't know how long that took. I'll put a timer somewhere around here on the side to time that. That's it. That's how long it takes to get from no temperature turned off to the highest temperature it'll go to. So you will see this being used in my next video, which is going to be repairing an old 27-inch monitor. I've got some capacitors to replace. My old soldering iron wasn't good enough to take care of that job, so I bought this one. And so far, I haven't even used it. I'm pretty happy with it. It's a cool looking unit. It's not like a square box like some of these old ones. It's got a very cool design, a modern design. It's, as far as I'm concerned, pretty good quality for the amount of money I paid for it. I think it was $58.99 on sale. Regular is $79.99. and Canadian ruples. So, you know, I'm pretty happy with this. So we can hit that, turn it off, hit that to power it off, and we'll let that cool down. So I hope this video has helped you in some way. If you're looking for a soldering iron, maybe this is the one you're looking at and you didn't know about it. And maybe this will help you get some soldering projects done in the future. Hit the like button down below if you liked it, and subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.